Hello friends, it's Dandylion here, and we are on episode 2 of our tutorial series of Crusader Kings. And just to give you a recap, we've created Art Craig, our Irish Catholic King of Munster, who is going to be our tutorial guy here. And he has a high stewardship and pretty high martial and learning and decent intrigue and diplomacy. He is wounded, stressed, and depressed, but he's a strong genius who's lustful, greedy, and slothful. But he's also patient and content, but a little cynical too. And he has a Midas-touched education, so that gives us a lot of good options here. Okay, so we're gonna finish, and you'll see that now that he's there. He's a king. This wraparound here actually means that he's a duke. It says king, but it's actually a petty king. As you see here, it says petty kingdom. Kingdoms actually are much larger, but petty kingdoms are essentially the same things as dukedoms. So just so you guys know, there's basically four levels of titles that your characters can have. There might be more, but the general ones are Earl, right? That's someone who controls one one or maybe two um, counties. And then there's a duchy, which controls an entire group of counties, and has earls underneath them, or counts underneath them, depending on where they are. They're either earls or counts. For our purposes in Ireland, they're all earls. And then a king or queen controls a much larger space. So if we look up here, let's see, independent realms. No, that's not what we want. Counts? No, dukes, kings. Yeah. So you'll see that there's a king of Scotland, a king of England, a king of France, a bunch of kings in Spain. There's an Egyptian king, a Persian king. Yeah. Norwegian, Swedish, Denmark. Yeah. Um, and then there's also emperors above kings. So, for example, um, the empires are basically split up Europe. So, for one of them, it is the British Isles. If you control uh, all of Ireland, all of Scotland, all of England, and all of Wales, you now have the Empire of Britannia. And that allows you to be an emperor. As well, the only empire that I believe it starts off is the Holy Roman Empire. Um, uh, yes. Um, and, well, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only one. I think Cumania might be considered an empire, but I'm not really sure. Persia might as well. I think Persia is as well. Persia counts as an empire. Um, but for our purposes, a um, we are going to be a duke. Okay, or a petty king. So we're ready to start. So we'll hit play. That's ominous. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is not start the timer. You can have okay, yeah. So let's start here. So over here we're gonna start from right and go left here. Okay, so over here on the right, you'll see your wealth, and it'll also have your balance. That balance gets calculated based off of previous income, so that's why it says 0. your prestige, and I'll show you what kind of prestige you're actually gaining. So, and prestige will be important later. I'll talk about that later. Piety as well. You'll see that we are going to gain piety. Domain. Domain is essentially the size of how many counties can your ruler maintain without having any vassals in it. So the reason why you want a lot of domain, we can have 5, is that allows you to have more income, and that allows you to control the what goes on in those things, as well. It allows you to control the military that's inside of that domain. So if you have a large domain, you will have a large army that is just for the king. That is very useful until you can get the standing armies, which we'll talk about way down the line. Um, uh, for right now, though, that allows us to have military. So we just have the one, which is Tamund. And then next we have the score. This is just this. Oh, I'm sorry. This is what is this? Oh, realm size. Right. So realm size is 6. That's the Earl that we have, and we have a mayor and a bishop that's underneath us. All right, and then the score, when you die, it takes your prestige and your piety and it adds it together and puts it out as a score when you die. So that's why we constantly want to have prestige and piety going up every month. All right, so and then it has a lot of messages here. We have 7 high priority messages already. Okay, so this guy arrived at court. Not all that important. Okay, a lot of people arrived at our court. I think that's what it is. Okay. So, let's see. So let's go through here. We have no heir. We have open council positions. We have a title loss on succession. That's because we don't have any children. We're unmarried. And we need to pick an ambition. And we can press de jure ducal claims. Yeah, that means we can basically go to war with this country right away, with Desmond, basically right away. We're going to. No, actually, we're not going to. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait a little while to do that until we build up and see what else is gonna happen. But we'll go into the character screen because we want to pick an ambition. Okay, so when you hit the icon up here, it'll bring up your character screen. You can see that we're wounded with that scar right there. Our heir is actually our other Earl, so we want to live to that happening. So let's talk about what's going on in this over here. And actually, let me turn down the sound for just a second here. There we go. Alright, so it'll show you in a nice big thing. It'll show your age and the religious head. And here it'll show your spouse. And it'll tell you your ethnicity, your religion, and where you're currently ruling from. And again, it'll show you the monthly balance, prestige, piety, score, and all the attributes that we selected in the ruler creator. And I'll show you all of your stats. Now, why does it have these stats like this? Because your base stats, which is what your personal stats, are right here on the left, and on the right is essentially your state's stat. So you have your own personal stats, and then your state as a nation has its own stats. And what gets added into that is your personal stats, half of your spouse's personal stats, and your counselor's personal stat. And so that's why it's really important to pick a good wife or a good spouse, um, because you want someone who will both to contribute to your stats and also um, not be celibate so that you can have children and be relatively healthy. So that's what that second one is for. And then these three buttons up here show your family tree, your dynasty tree, and your realm tree, which we're not going to look at, but just to show you that. So then you have the titles, and you have claims, right? So we have the title of Petty Kingdom of Munster and the County of Thomond. Okay. As well, you can show, this will show you what your kingdom is, Petty Kingdom of Munster. It'll show you your line of succession and who actually is the successor. All right. So then we want to choose an ambition. And the options are limited at the beginning. And our options are limited because all of our stats are above 8. If you have stats that are below 8, you can actually make it one of your ambitions to raise your stat above a certain amount. So we're actually going to set getting married to be our ambition, since we're not married. Okay, so then under here, all these tabs are really important. So you have family, and since we created it, we don't have any parents, but you'll see later as we go that this will fill in. Grandparents, wards are children that you are teaching, and we'll get to that when it comes. Children and also siblings. And also there's relations. It'll show your marriage ties. So like your brother-in-laws, things like that. It'll also show if you have any lovers, who they are, and also if you have a friend or if you have rivals. It'll show them as well. It'll show you your vassals, and now we'll talk about opinion here. So you'll see that we have Ragvald, who is our Earl of Ormond. He has a negative opinion of us, and you can see here that he has a negative opinion of us based off of all of these. So he's a charitable guy, so he gets a negative there. He's also envious of our position, so he gets a negative here. He also sees us as a foreigner, because I believe that he is not Irish, so he gets a negative here. We get positives for he's also cynical. He's also strong, or he sees us as strong and as a genius, as well. Like he is currently this. No, he's not the steward. I think that my high stewardness is giving that. Also, the Gavelkind secession, so he benefits from that secession line, so he enjoys that, and also personal diplomacy plays a role. And then we have the mayor here. It's not really all that important for the mayor to be all that supportive of us, but whatever. And the bishop as well. There will be times where you'll want all of your vassals to have positive opinions of you, but generally the opinions of vassals don't play a huge role except for your earls or counts. You want them to like you. So him having a negative opinion of us, that's going to change over time, especially the personal diplomacy and the short reigner is going to go. Yeah, everything else though is kind of up in the air. But that negative 8 doesn't really concern me just yet. Also, if for bishops, if they like their pope more than they like you, you're not going to get any taxes. If you get their like above the Pope, they'll give you taxes. the the thing you'll want to do is you'll want to give them gifts. You basically bribe them into liking you more. Um, yeah, and you can see here that there's basically no taxes in this in this country, so that's why you're not getting any income from them. So then you have your court, and these are people who are your vassals, as well as anyone else who's essentially related to you, or it's just someone who is in your court. And it's good to have people in your court because they're the people who are going to be your counselors, as well as potential pairings for marriages. For example, if you have someone in your court who has a really favorable trait, like genius or something like that, you want to keep them in your court, marry them off to someone who's not, who is a good mate to them, and then their children will essentially carry that lineage of genius on, and then you'll be able to marry into that, or either that or they'll be your counselors because they'll have high stats. And having court opinion be high is also not all that important in the beginning because, again, a lot of this stuff is going to change, and especially the personal diplomacy, and there's going to be events that happen. So generally, we're unfavorable. There's some people who really like us and some people who really don't. And the people who don't like us for our traits. For example, zealous people don't like us because we're cynical. There's people who are envious. The thing that to really look out for is you want to, at the beginning, you want to look for people who have that a lot of negative. And the one you're looking for is ambitious. Ambitious is a negative 50 hit to it, and you really don't want anyone who's ambitious in your court. Um, yeah, it does not look like anyone is ambitious in our court, which is good. Ambitious people will continue to um, uh, work their way up the ladder and try to, you know, essentially assassinate people to try and get them or get marriages so that they can have, power and get titles and things like that. So it's a good idea to, if there are ambitious people, to marry them off and send them elsewhere. Um, so yeah. Um, so the one problem that we're going to run into, I think, off the bat, is that our Earl is not Irish, and that's not good that he has a negative opinion of us. But like I said, it's not going to be all that important right away. So then it has allies, and allies are essentially you get either through marriage or through um, assisting people at war. And then if you have anyone in your court that is currently abroad, it'll show them as well. Okay, so if you are unmarried, or if the person that you're looking at, because you can go to other people's things, and here you go, you can see that his parents are there, and his grandparents are there, and his children are there. Okay. Oh, and we see that he is Norwegian, so that's why he hates us more. Okay, so if the person that you have control of is unmarried, you'll see that there is the arranged marriage thing here. So when you click on this, it'll actually bring up a list of people, and I'll show you here, who are potential spouses. And it gives you a lot of information here. So again, you'll see these same attributes that we saw in the ruler creation. Like charitable, ambitious, an education, all that. As well, it'll show you what kingdom they're part of and what ethnicity they are. and what religion they are, and what their current ambition is. As well, if you see this little blue flag over here, it'll show you what alliances you're going to get if you marry into this person. Okay, and it'll also show you their general opinion of you. Most of them are going to be pretty low. But the thing I'm going to look for is I'm going to look and see if there are any inheritable traits that are available here. And I'm just going to scan through this real fast here. It's going to be faster than you guys can probably take advantage of, but there's hair lip. Nope, 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 nope. Nothing yet. And you want to do this on day one. You want to have the game pause at the beginning, and you want to do this day one, because this allows you to essentially try to get the best person possible. Right now, that's looking like Maria of Norway, but we'll see here. So what stat do I really want to raise? I really want to raise intrigue and diplomacy. So let's look at who is the highest intrigue that's available. A couple of courtiers, Hungarian courtier. Yeah. And it doesn't raise us a whole lot. So let's look at diplomacy. Highest diplomacy. No one that really stands out either. So I'm actually going to look at the highest rank here. Oh, no, that didn't work. I'm actually going to close this and reopen it, because it generally tries to show you who they think is going to be the best person. Oh, now it's totally unsorted. Okay, so let's look at who has the highest opinion of us. That could also play a role. But no one really has a real high opinion of us, so we'll sort it by realm. And again, the choices here are kind of overwhelming. But I think what we want to do is either ally with Norway, or with Denmark, or with England, or with France. Just because that'll help us getting in with one of the other huge nations allows us to ask them for aid when we go to war. And we're going to go to war a lot, so that's a good idea. And I think our best bet is actually going to be the Norway. Here we are. Yeah, so really my choices are between Ingrid or Maria. And I think it's going to be, let's see, she's brave, paranoid, lustful, and envious. The lustful thing is good because that'll give us another 20% of that. And she has a higher education than she does, which is also nice. She's ambitious, zealous, and wroth, and temperate, which is why she has a low opinion of us. Yeah, I think we're going to go with Ingigerd. So you click on that person's name. Oh, yes. So you'll see that we're going to propose that that King Art, which is us, and Princess Ingigerd get married. We're proposing this to King Harald of Norway. And as king, we'll gain 33 prestige, which is good. And because we're marrying into House England, we'll get another 100 for marrying a relative of this king, which is good. And we're going to get an alliance with Norway, which is another good thing. and you'll see that he is likely to say yes because he likes us. Yeah, it says -6, um, but he doesn't hate us, and he doesn't hate us less than he hates us. If that makes any sense, you'll see the base reluctance, right? All right, so we're gonna send that, and it's the timer's not moving, which you'll see here. But when it does start moving, it'll count down how many days until he responds. Um, we know that's probably going to work. So I'm going to move on to these things up here. Okay, so first is your council. All right, and there's one counselor for each of the attributes, and essentially what we'll want to do is appoint the person who generally you want to appoint the person who has the largest benefit to you, but sometimes you'll want to give it to someone who is politically expedient to give it to, or for opinion's sake. But we'll take a look. So it automatically sorts it by highest diplomacy. So this person has an 11 diplomacy. He is he's of our oh no, he's not. No, he's not of our dynasty. Do I want to give it to him or to him? Yeah, generally, you're gonna get a bonus opinion by giving it to someone who has a negative. So we're gonna give it to him. You'll see now that he has a 1 opinion. It's because if you see, he gets a +15 for being chosen as chancellor. So let's choose military, and again, yeah, there we go. That's another person in our court that now has a positive opinion of us. So steward, if they're the same, and they are, we're going to give it to the person who has a negative opinion of us, so that now they have a positive opinion of us. Spy master, yeah, we'll give it to this guy. And court chaplain. 10 and 10, but he has a negative opinion of us. He's also blind. That's why his eyes look like that. The first couple times it happened, I thought it was some kind of like, I don't know. I thought it was something pretty horrible, or like a glitch or something like that. It scared me. Because I'm easily scared. All right, so so each of these counselors can actually set to do things. Okay, so we already know that we can press this ducal claim against Desmond. So we don't want to fabricate claims. We can improve diplomatic relations with someone else, or we can sow dissent. I think what we're going to do is we're going to improve diplomatic relations with our count here, Count of Ormond. That will actually help us out. Okay, so your marshal can research military tech. He can train some troops, or he can suppress revolts. Since this is not going to be close to revolting, we're going to set him to train troops, and it'll give you places where you can put them. So we'll put him in Thomond. Our steward can collect taxes, can research economy technology, or oversee construction. For right now, because we have 63 gold, and that's plenty for right now, we're going to have him research economy technology. Okay. Spy Master. So he can scheme to discover plots. He can discourage people from joining factions. Factions play more of a part if you're a smaller piece of a larger pie, but since we're a petty king and eventually going to be a king, that it's we're not going to have any factions. There's going to be factions against us, so that will be built there. Let's see, build a spy network. This is good if we want to have them basically like the spy network when we do intrigue events, you want co-conspirators, and if you've had someone who's built up a lot of spy network, it'll actually be easier to do that with. But we're not going to do that just yet. So the third option, study technology, I think that's going to be the one we're going to do, and you're going to send them elsewhere. And basically, they're going to go and try and steal technology from people who are more technologically advanced than you are. So you want to send them to some place that has a relatively low intrigue, or that you think has a relatively low intrigue, but also has a lot of technology. Um, I think for right now, though, we're just going to send him to one of these. And I think we're going to send him to Ulster. And that'll give us actually a view of any troop movements that come this way or this way. Since now you see that this is actually brightened up. So court chaplain, you can proselytize to change the religion. You can research cultural tech, or you can improve religious relations. And I think that's what we're going to do, because the priest that's here. And I'm sorry. When you click on a county, it brings up a county page, which is actually kind of nice. And then you have like the county capital, which is a city, and you can click on that, and it'll give you options for building stuff. I'm gonna go more in detail in this when we have to, but I just wanted to bring up this bishopry. Oh, and if you click on any of these, it'll also bring up a page that brings up, things about the realm. But what I was getting at is this. So we're at -7 with him. It would be good to have good relations with him, because if once we get above a certain amount, he will actually pay taxes to us instead of the Pope. And that's good, 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 good. So improve religious relations, and we'll put him there. All right, so next tab, laws. All right, so there are secession laws. Right now we have agnatic, cognatic, gavelkind. What that means is that it will go through, and if you hold a lot of titles, it'll give your largest title to your oldest son. And then it'll just give that one to him. And then if you have other sons, it will then go down the line and give each of them titles, one title apiece. Any leftover titles will be given to other people who have claims. So essentially what happens with the gavelkind is that it basically spreads all of your titles out, which is terrible. Okay, it's not terrible. There are benefits to having it. The benefits of having it is that people who will benefit from it give you a positive thing. But I think the best one, and we only have this option because we're Irish, is Tanistry. Tanistry is an elective monarchy, essentially, and it allows you to have the ruler and all their vassals vote on nominating an heir. Generally, it's going to be the oldest person in the dynasty. It's not going to be your children. But the benefit of this is that if you have a wide-ranging dynasty, you're going to get good people up, and eventually you're going to your children are going to get it, because once they die, or once the distant relative dies, pretty much you're going to have that. As well, the other nice thing about this is that your dynasty is more of a role rather than an unbroken line between them. There are some downsides. For example, once you control, once a switch from one Tanis to the next, um, um, you could lose control over the character, and by control I mean you can't add them, you can't marry them off, things like that. So there are some negative downsides to having Tanistry be the option. I really like elective monarchy, mostly because it's pretty easy to keep your children up. There's also primogeniture, which is also good, but we can't have that because we have to have no vassals have a negative opinion, and we have to rule for 10 years. Actually, that might be something we go for. Tanistry, again, we have to have 10 years or no vassals have a negative opinion for us to change any of these rules. And agnatic means only males can inherit. Um, and absolute cognatic means that women inherit on the same grounds. Agnatic cognatic means that women will get it if there are no male heirs. Okay, so then you have laws down here. Feudal levies, city levies, church levies, and then feudal, city, and church taxation. What the levies are how many, what size of their military are they going to give you? And then their taxation is how much of their income are they going to give you? You can change these up or down. When you go up, you get opinion penalties. When you go down, you get positive opinion. But that comes at a price. If you go down, you're going to have less military to work with or less money to work with. But if you go up, you're going to have more money or more troops, but you're going to have less opinion. So these are all considerations to put in here. So the next one is technology. Technology is the long-term game here. And essentially, each one of these, and I'm not going to go through them all, gives you benefits. Either it unlocks different things you can build in the cities, or it changes opinion percentages, or it improves your military, or it improves like the size of your kingdom, things like that. If you see the gears moving, that means that there's research that's working on that. So and up here, where you have like the points, you get points every month in each of these, and you get a bonus if someone is actually researching, and we have our steward researching. So you get a bonus to that. There you go. Oh, and also the the amount you get comes from attributes. So having a high learning and a high stewardship adds a lot to economy. Culturally, it's learning plus diplomacy, and military is learning plus martial. So that's why also high learning is good to have for that. Um, yeah, that's good. All right, so military. All right, so you'll see that this shows us essentially our vassals and their opinions of us. Oh, and actually we've got another hit from Rongvald. Great, awesome. Oh, we got a lot of hits because there were people who were on the council when the previous ruler was there, but now that we created our own ruler and put our own people there, everyone that was there. So 5 of our vassals now have a negative 20 fire from council. This will go away in a number of years, but that hurts that he's at negative 46. So anyway, it'll show you how many you can get from your from them, but it's at 0 right now. Um, yeah, and a lot of that has to do with opinion. If he has a high opinion, he'll actually give you troops, but he he can't. Okay, but this is why domain is so important. So in our domain, we have a maximum of 1186 soldiers that we can raise. Currently, we can raise only 987 of them. Um, as the months progress, that will get up to the full 1186. Um, so right now, we shouldn't go against this country because um, we can't raise our vassal levies. So until we can actually raise our vassal levies, it's probably not a good idea to attack anyone. So we'll work on the opinion first before we actually go with the military. So retinues we'll get into way later, but they are the standing armies that I told you about. And fleet levies, again, we're not going to get into right now, but essentially all that fleets do, they don't actually do anything other than transport troops over oceans. And since we're not going to really attack anyone outside of Ireland and England, which we can actually like walk to, we're not going to deal with fleets basically at all. Um, and then there's so the vassals. There are also mercenaries that you can hire, and you can see that they are really expensive. They cost 450. This one costs 450 gold, and also has a monthly upkeep of 22. This is for like empires to hire. 4,500 troops though. That's kind of nice. There are, of course, discount ones that cost 100 and have a monthly cost of 90. That's just for 100 boats. But here we go. Here's one that's 190, has a monthly cost of 690, and it's 1,900 troops. That would help us fight Desmond, but we can't afford that right now. So, and then there are holy orders. There are none that are created just yet, but there will be some through events that come later. And what they do is if you are attacking a heathen country, for example, an Islamic country, you can, or if you're playing a Muslim ruler and you're attacking a Christian country, you can pay piety rather than gold to hire large numbers of soldiers. And it is substantial. Okay, so next tab, intrigue. This allows you to create some plots. For example, right now we don't have any suitable plots, but there are other ways to create plots. Also, you can invite holy men, nobles, or debutantes to your court. The court that I showed you earlier with the 30 some odd people in it, this allows you to basically create random ones. It's useful later, like if you like if they start dying out and not replacing themselves, you can then you can then create more of them. There's also hold a feast, which I don't think we can do because it's not November and we don't have 100 prestige. It's September right now. And there's a summer fair, grand hunt. I can go on a pilgrimage, or because I am depressed, I can commit suicide. Um, yeah, not going to do that. Again, you can also borrow 300 gold from Jewish merchants who will um, essentially ask for more of it back. They won't they won't immediately ask it back, but until you pay them back with 350, you're going to get a negative hit to any Jewish temple vassals, which we don't have any. So we could just take this right now, but there's no need until we actually need it. Um, we can also buy indulgence. So we can basically pay money to get piety and also opinion from the Pope, which we don't really need right now. We can also expel the Jewry, and the one thing that this could help with, it's never really a good idea, is it basically gets you out from underneath the loan that you take out from the merchants. Um, but it hurts your diplomacy, and it's just generally not a good idea. Um, but it seems like rulers do it a lot. The other thing is if you do not expel the Jewry, every now and then you're going to get events where um, Jewish people come to your court, and they generally will make really good council members. Um, so again, it's a negative thing to do that. So okay, at the bottom here, it'll show you threats. So if there are any threats, like for example, a threat could be so and so is raising an army to conquest, to press his claim against your country. It could be like some random like count from Norway or from Poland or wherever. Like William the Conqueror did for England. It will let you know ahead of time that that's going to happen, and that'll show up here. Prisoners, if you imprison people, it'll show you how long they've been there, what their title is, what their opinion of it is, and then it'll give you some quick actions like assassinate, ransom, or just let go. And as well, this is also really important. The known plots. These are things that either you or your spy master uncover. You want to check this every now and then to see if there's anything that is problematic. Um, for example, if there are known plots against any of your children, um, or against your wife, or something like that. The upside is that if you catch someone with it and you ask them to stop the plot and they say yes, that's a personal diplomacy thing, and you get a bonus from their opinion because you were kind to them in allowing them to stop the plot um, without getting arrested. However, if they say no to stopping the plot, you can arrest them or try to. Okay, so factions I won't really get into because that won't play a role for a very long time. And then religion. So you'll see here that this shows who the head of the Catholic religion is. This is Pope Alexander II, who hates us because of our traits. But that's okay. That's okay that he hates us. It's not really a huge thing. And then I'll show... whoa, sorry. It'll show any vassal bishops that you have and their opinion of the Pope versus your opinion. And you can also make an anti-Pope. Canadian anti-Pope is kind of a big deal, and I don't recommend it unless you have a good reason to do it. Yeah, there's really no good reason to do an anti-pope. Well, no, there is. If you are really popular, you can create an anti-pope and essentially get a cash windfall out of it. But you lose prestige, and um, and it also really hurts the church as a whole. However, if you succeed, you essentially there's a big upside to being able to keep your anti-pope for a while. You can also appoint a successor who you think, if he ever dies, who you want as bishop. And it's actually not a bad idea to do this. So I'm going to do this now. So if someone dies here, we want someone who it doesn't matter if he has um, uh, a large amount of learning, but having someone who has a high opinion of us is actually really important. So this guy has a high opinion of us because he's content. He's perfect. So he is the successor to this bishopry. And that will be really good. Okay, so that is basically the interface. Oh, I should show you diplomacy. All right, so there is a button here. If you go to anyone's page, like for example, we'll go to Ragnvald's page. There are two things here. You see, choose a plot. We can try to kill him, but the plot power is really low, so that's not going to happen. Plot power, if this plot power, the initial plot power is, that doesn't matter, but if the possible plot power is low, then it's probably not going to happen. But if that possible plot power is above 100, that means that that is probable to happen with help. If it's above 200, you should definitely do it if that's something you want to do, because that means it is almost certain to happen. Okay, so let's look at conduct diplomacy. All right, so the options that are here on the right side, and you saw this um, when we did the arranged marriage proposal. Um, a lot of these are grayed out because we either don't have the requisite things to give for it. Like, for example, assassinate is grayed out because we don't have the insane amount of money it costs to assassinate somebody. Um, and uh, but we can revoke the title. That'll cause a civil war between the two of us, and that's probably not a good idea. We know we have more military than him, but I don't know if we have enough to siege him with. So we're not going to do that. And also, it's tyrannical to do that, and we'll take another opinion hit, which is not a good idea. But what we are going to do is we're going to give him an honorary title. And we're going to give whatever one gives him the highest opinion, because we want him to like us, which I think is cupbearer. So yeah, we're going to make him cupbearer. And you'll see now that it's negative 31 because he's also the cupbearer. Okay, we'll also look at how much does he cost for getting a gift, and what do we get for it? And 20 for 45. That's not very good. Okay. So believe it or not, folks, I think we're gonna pause it here and go to a next episode. So I've showed you the interface. Oh, also, I guess we'll go through one other thing real fast. Down here is your map, right? And you can scroll out and you'll see that you can move around the map here. That this moves. And also that the map is gigantic now. Now that they've added India in here. All right. And there we go. You can also, if you zoom out, and we're going to zoom a good way out and go over here just so you can see this. You can then change the way it looks. Right now we have it set to terrain, and you can see that it shows mountains and things like that. But you can also set it to independent realms, which will show you all of the independent realms. And you'll see that Ireland has a whole bunch of different ones. And it's basically everything that's a different color is a different realm. So the Byzantine Empire is right here, and also, you have the Shola, and Seljuk, and Cumania, and Perm, and all of these independent realms, Norway, France. And then also it'll show you diplomatic relations. Anything that is like brownish or yellow is a negative hit. So for example, right here is oh no, that's not the papacy. I thought it was the papacy. Um, but we have some negative opinion, basically of these. Basically, um, all of the republics have a negative opinion of us. Whatever. Everyone else doesn't even know we exist, with the exception of Sweden, which is negative of us. Um, uh, Basically because they see us as a potential target for invasion. And some of these other ones see us as that too. Okay, and then as well, it'll show you religions. So you'll see the big swath of Catholic, and also Orthodox, Tengri, Zoroastrian, Hindu, Buddhist, Jain. Yeah. Um, we're like smack dab in the middle of Catholic country, though. Oh, and you can see here that this that the bright spots actually have holy sites. I don't know. Yeah, are there bright spots for holy sites? Um, no, that's Druze. Hmm. Oh, and you'll see that there are a handful of there's a Druze there, and there's one Jewish ruler. Um, Good luck playing him. Uh, just as an FYI, that is oh, there is one here too. That playing a Jewish ruler is very, very, very hard, and kind of one of those. Same thing with playing the West African pagans at the beginning of 1066. That's also very hard, very difficult. Okay, so then it gives you cultures. So you'll see the different cultures here. There's Irish, Scottish, Anglo-Saxon, you know. Um, and basically it shows you what the culture of uh, the different areas are. So that if you have a ruler that is of that um, different culture, then they'll have that negative hit that we talked about. So economy, the brighter the color, the brighter the green, the more profitable it is. The darker the red, the least profitable it is. So you'll see like the papacy is really bright green. Also, most of Ireland is as well. Okay, and then I'll show you de jure duchies. And you can see here now that we are at Munster, which we are the Duke of Munster, and that's why we have a de jure claim on this. What de jure means is by rule, right? So, for example, this guy is the king of Connacht. He has a de jure claim against Brefen, or Brefna, or however it's pronounced. And then there's de jure kingdoms, so Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. Oops. De jure kingdoms. And you'll see all of them here. There's a lot. Um, and what's yeah, and Frisia. Some of these are ahistorical, meaning that either they were um, at one point they were, kingdoms, but not in 1066. And the reason for that is that there are always forces that want to create these kingdoms, right? And so, like, for example, the Holy Roman Empire, right, has Italy, Burgundy, Bavaria, Lithuania, Germany, Bohemia, Pomerania, Frisia, and at some points in their history, parts of Denmark. Um, and basically, those kingdoms exist in the Holy Roman Empire, but the emperor holds all of those titles, right? But that doesn't have to work in your game. For example, if I take over Britannia, I might be the emperor of Britannia, but I might have a king of Ireland, a king of Scotland, a king of England, and king of Wales that are my vassals, right? Okay, so then we have de jure empires, and here we go. there's Britannia, there's Holy Roman Empire. Oops, de jure empires. Yeah, the Byzantine. I keep doing it because I keep hitting ASDW, which doesn't actually work. And you'll see Arabian, Persian, Rajasthan. All of these, right? Um, I would say the hardest one to get is probably the Holy Roman Empire, followed very closely by the Byzantine Empire. Um, the easiest ones to get are Britannia and Hispania. Um, but all of them are really hard. All of them are really hard and take a long time. So again, it'll also show you revolt risk, and if again green is fine, the darker the red, the more likely you'll see a revolt in that country. The reason why you see a lot here is because we have Muslim rulers in Catholic areas. It'll show you the different dynasties that are there, as well as opinions of you. The brighter the green, the higher the opinion, and then the more red and the darker the red, the lower opinion of me. And you'll see that they really hate me over here, but I don't care because it's the total opposite side of the map. As well, I'll show you your direct vassals and the Republic trade zones, which only deal with the republics, and we don't really care about that, as well as family trade zones, which we don't care about either because that has to deal with old gods. Okay, a few more things. So there's a main menu link here. There's also a ledger, which allows you to look at different the same information in different ways. So, for example, there are 3 claimants to the Petty Kingdom of Munster that we know now. Yeah, so all of this is actually really useful. For example, and I believe you can sort it. Yes, you can sort it. Oh, someone died already. Holy cow. Yeah, so it allows you to look at things and be able to sort. So we can look at how many people have negative opinion. Okay, there's like 6. Yeah, so it's actually a really good idea to look at this ledger every now and then. It's just a different way to look at all the information that's available through all these menus and everything like that in a very easy way. If you ever want to go, if like let's say you're on terrain and you're zoomed in looking at this little part of Sri Lanka, and you're like, whoa, okay. So let's go back to our home province. It'll quickly move you back over to your home province. This little link down here. It'll also allow you to find a title. For example, if I want to find Britannia. Yeah. So it'll show you the Kingdom of Brittany, Petty Kingdom of Brittany, and Empire of Britannia. That's pretty useful. Also find characters. This is also useful. You can search within, like, say, your court, for example, to find unmarried people and marry them. For example, if we want married, no. Search court. This will show you all of the unmarried people in your court. You'll want to marry all these people off. Or at least you'll want to marry off all the people that you think have favorable traits, which it doesn't look like there are many, if any. Yeah. So, or you want to marry people off because you'll also get a personal diplomacy bonus for doing that. So, that's actually not a bad idea. Okay, and again, there's a lot of choices for finding these characters, and there's a lot of nice benefits to using that. As well, there's a zoom in and zoom out. And you can make custom map slots. So, for example, if I really like terrain, and I really like independent realms, and I also like de jure duchies. That didn't go down. And de jure kingdoms. And I also like opinions. Okay, and you can actually toggle the minimap. As well, there's also these, yeah, so that message can go away. There's also this thing which I actually like having out. It's a very easy way to show your domain and what income it's bringing in, and also the fort level and the number of troops that it has available to you. All right, so that is it for this episode. When we come back, we're gonna start the game. We're gonna get the ball rolling, and we're going to try and consolidate opinion and get us into the positive with everyone, and so we can get some more troops for us to invade Desmond. Okay, see you in a bit.